Welcome in, LMRprep.com, Skyward King, Eric Seals, team number 17, Glenbard North, led by a killer defense that, other than a 49-6 whooping at Wheaton South, and every time we say that Wheaton South gave somebody a whooping, we have to say they gave everybody a whooping.
Yeah.
So no shame there. The most points they let up in any other game was 21, and everything else under 20 points. So definitely the defense is what they lean on here, but they have some guys on the offensive line that can help carry into some scores also.
Yeah, Paul
Wisniewski and Paul Tarsitano.
See, he cleared me up because I wasn't going to be able to say their name right. Anyway, junior running back Phil Jackson runs behind them, and against West Aurora went for 127 yards and 20 carries. That's something. That's a college line right there. You know what I'm saying?
Those. Yeah. What are the measurables on those guys?
6'3", 300 pounds. 6'4", 290 pounds, according to your season. So those are some big studs. And
yeah.
I remember talking to the some of the guys over at Weaverville South after the game. Were like, man, we have to do some things because Glenbard North is stacked.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have big guys like that, you can do a lot of things, especially if they're athletic, if they're actually strong and powerful. But running back is just walking behind them all day.
Yeah, they Glenbard North's got a 3 seed in the playoffs, coming into 8-1, with their only loss being the Wheaton South. And lucky for them, there's no Wheaton South in 8A, so they definitely have an opportunity to make a run. I've got them going to the semis before they bow out to Stevenson, who's my eventual champion. But you got Loyola going all the way here, so. You got Glenbard going down to the quarters to Loyola. What? Again, I asked you this about St. Rita in our last preview. What does Glenbard have to bring to the table differently for them to beat Loyola?
Well, the thing is, when I compare Loyola's offense, it reminds me of Weaverville South. They definitely have a strong passing game, and after seeing what happened in that game against Weaverville South, Glenbard North has they have some holes. They have some things that they need to work on to have that solid team all the way around. And if Loyola can pick them apart like Wheaton South can, I'm sure they were watching the tape and had some scouts there. I think it's going to be difficult for Glenbard North, but if they can figure out what was different about the game with Weaverville South, and if they can continue to run behind their studs on the offensive side, then I think that they will prove me wrong and pass a lot of the teams that I say will beat them.
Yeah, the reason I picked them over Loyola was because of the Wheaton South game. I say that, Loyola's got a great offense, but nobody's got the passing game that Wheaton South does.
Yeah.
And I think if they can make the adjustments from what happened to them against Wheaton South, it'll be enough to limit Loyola's passing game and force them to run more, which they didn't seem comfortable doing in that game that we saw them against St. Rita. And certainly, not many teams can run on Glenbard North, which is obvious by the fact that, Oak Park River Forest only allowed 6 points. Plainfield is 8. Naperville North 3, who's a 6-3 playoff team. Wheaton North 14, big flying passing attack.
Yeah.
West Chicago 14. Glenbard East 7. And then Naperville Central this past week 14, when Naperville Central was a very desperate team trying to make it into the playoffs.
Yeah.
It just seems to me that other than Wheaton South, who is arguably the best team in the state and has won 20+ games in a row, going for back-to-back titles, nobody's offense has been able to put it together. And I mean, Wheaton North chucks the pill around.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know that Loyola's passing attacks that much better. I mean, I think they're
probably similar.
They got probably their receivers probably have a little better size than Wheaton North. But I think that Loyola is probably more comparable to Wheaton North than Wheaton South.
Well, the thing I like about Glenbard North is, if I had to pick a team and one side of the ball was really strong, I would like to pick the defense because at the end of the day, you're always in the game.
And they can give your offense field position.
And give your offense field position, and your offense can come up with a trick play or something like that.
Yeah.
But if you have a good defense, you're always in the game. And then your defense is probably scoring themselves.
Yeah.
So Glenbard North, the sky's the limit from the standpoint with what they have from the defensive side. If they can figure out some things to get their scores up and get their offense going, then they'll be in there for a while.
Yeah, and like you say, you talked about that defense. it can work that way. We've seen the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Ravens tell their offense, go get us 14. We'll go out there and cause a ruckus, create some turnover to get some sacks, and win this football game. And I think that's something that when you have an elite unit like that, just like a Wheaton South's offense, you need to be in that huddle and be like, even though you have faith in your other teammates, you need to have that us against the world mentality to say they are not scoring against us because we are not letting them send us home. So we're going out, we're pitching a shutout. Even if someone scores on you, okay, from now on, we're pitching a shutout. And I think that can definitely galvanize a team in Glenbard North. That this is another one of those teams that, they should be hungry because they're not one of the top teams in the state year in, year out.
No.
That DVC is so tough. That you've exchanged the usually powerful Naperville Central for a Glenbard North this year.
Yeah.
And so the coaches and the kids need to have a sense of urgency and a sense of responsibility to the program to say, hey,
we're going to keep it here.
Yeah, you don't get an opportunity to play in the playoffs every year, or to be a high seed and be favored to go deep every year. So let's take advantage of it now. Let's go out and get it done and go play in Champaign. And they're definitely one of the few teams in 8A that's one of the favorites to do that.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the DVC, how you were mentioning. Between several of the teams, the power shifts. It stays in a couple of their hands more than others, but, the power shifts. So Glenbard North has to capitalize on what they have going on right now. The positive thing is, they got tested very well in their conference week in and week out, but they don't even have to play Wheaton South. They don't have to worry about them. Yeah. They can go focus what they got going on in 8A. They can go in and really play against a lot of teams that probably couldn't have the same record in the DuPage Valley Conference.
Sure.
So the Glenbard North Panthers have a really good shot. It's really going to be all up to them on how good they do in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're definitely undefeated against everyone else in Class 8A. So should be no lack of confidence, because they can definitely say that, who out here is better than Wheaton South, or even as good as Wheaton South?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe nobody. And so they said, Wheaton South got us, but none of these
Nobody
teams
else
are going to
can
get us.
Yeah.
So that's our preview for Glenbard North. Certainly one of the teams that has a great chance to make it to Champaign and definitely go deep. I've got them going to the semifinals. Eric has them going to the quarterfinals, and so they're definitely one of the teams to look out for. When we come back on the playoff preview, we're getting a little deeper. We're going Loyola, who just pulled a big upset over St. Rita. Next time here at IllinoisPrep.com.